Today we're going to be looking at the Aesir Synchro monsters. The archetype as it is now only ends up on the link monster on the field, any of the synchro monsters, and the trap card that negates all face-up cards. I want to see if I can give them better effects, though some of these effects might be a little bit too much, but I'll try to give a reason to them. So let's start with Odin, All-Father of the Aesir. The first effect I will give Odin is this card is unaffected by card effects or your opponent's card effects. This effect is just plain and simple. For the second effect, you can make your opponent send a monster they control that you choose to the graveyard. This effect is mimicking Gungnir from Norse mythology, as it is Odin's spear that never misses its mark. I wanted this effect to just say you can send a monster from the field to the graveyard, just plain and simple, but I just left it that way. For the third effect, it's a little bit hard for me to complete. I wanted it to go like during either player's turn quick effect, you can use the effects of Nordic or Divine Relic spell or trap cards from your deck or graveyard. The reason being, Odin is known for using items and other magical stuff to fight in his battles, so him being able to access these effects was what I had in mind. I feel like this would only work with the normal spell and trap cards, which leaves out the continuous trap cards and the equip spell card. The second way I tried to do this effect so that it involves all the spell and trap cards was maybe by him activating them to the field instead of sending them to the graveyard to use or copy their effects. For the last effect, which is the revival effect, if this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard this turn, you can special summon this card from the graveyard as long as you control a Nordic Ascendant tuner monster in your graveyard. When summoned this way, add a Nordic or Aesir card from your deck or graveyard to your hand. So instead of Odin's effect to draw one card, you can add a card from your deck or graveyard to your hand. The revival effect sounds too easy cause as long as you control a Nordic Ascendant tuner monster in your graveyard, Odin can keep coming back if he was destroyed and sent to the graveyard that turn. I also tried to make it say maybe shuffle or banish a Nordic Ascendant monster from your graveyard to special summon it back from the graveyard if it was destroyed, but I chose the first one, which requires you to control a Nordic Ascendant tuner monster in your graveyard. The revival can be countered in many ways by using cards such as Call by the Grave or Bestial Monsters or other cards that interact with the graveyard. So removing either of them stops the special summon from the graveyard. So let's move on to the next synchro monster, which is Thor. For the first effect, this card is unaffected by your opponent's monster effect or unaffected by monster effects. Effect number 2 is you can destroy all monsters your opponent controls, and for each monster destroyed, this card gains 500 attack. For the third effect, during either player's turn, quick effect, negate the effects of face-up monsters your opponent currently controls until the end of the turn. This is just Thor's current effects, but you can also use it during your opponent's turn as well. For the last effect, if this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard this turn, you can special summon this card from the graveyard as long as you control a Nordic Beast tuner monster in your graveyard. If summoned this way, inflict 800 damage to your opponent. So for Thor's revival effect, you need to control a Nordic Beast tuner monster in your graveyard for him to be summoned back to the field. The effect to inflict 800 damage is still the same, as the effects I paired it up with before are now effects he uses on the field. So the last synchro monster we'll be looking at is Loki, and for the first effect, unaffected by your opponent's spell and trap cards. For the second effect, when a spell or trap card or effect is activated, quick effect, you can negate the activation and destroy that card. This is just current Loki's effect, but you can activate it during your opponent's main phase as well and not just the battle phase. For the third effect, during either player's turn, you can target one face-up monster on the field. This card's name becomes that target's name and it gains that target's original effects. This effect is just based on Loki being a trickster, as in Norse mythology he does transform into certain things to deceive others or gain an advantage. For the last effect, the revival effect is the same as the other synchro monsters, but you need to control a Nordic Alpha tuner monster in your graveyard. And if Loki is summoned this way, you can target one spell or trap card in either player's graveyard and add it to your hand. That's all the effects I could think of if they were to get retrained. I feel as for some effects I didn't do too well as I tried to make it too accurate as it is in Norse mythology. The reason why the synchro monsters are powerful is because they are the main core of the deck or the main end goal of the deck. And if they do get new cards, it will be to support the synchro monsters or add to the power of the deck. For example, Heimdall, which could be a Link 3 monster that can special summon up to 3 Nordic monsters from your hand, deck or graveyard, and something like Sotor could be a synchro monster that adds power to the deck. In summary, I hope they get good support and also good retrains to help them compete against other decks in the game.